Welcome to the program. Our sign language interpreter is Maresha Owiti. We begin with a report that will no doubt shake the Kenyan nation to the core and trigger a total reorganization in the way broadcasters plan their content. New rules released by the Communications Authority say no explicit sex discussions or vulgar debates will be allowed on Kenyan TV and radio stations between 5 a.m. and 11 p.m. In a new code of conduct for free-to-air TV and radio stations in Kenya, the Communications Authority has also banned alcohol and cigarette-related advertisements over the same period of time. KTN's Muremi Mwangi is working on that report for us. Shall be giving it to you later on. Now, in Kenya's Mombasa County, a primary school teacher has been sentenced to 20 years in prison for radicalizing children. Samuel Wanjala Wabwire, also known as Salim Mohammed, was teaching at a school in Kwale County, about 60 kilometers from Mombasa. KTN's Francis Ontomo begins our coverage tonight.
The accused person, Mr. Samuel Wanjala
Wabwire stared into the room with outright anxiety. His fate was sealed with a landmark judgment that condemned him to 2 decades behind bars. The Wildhead family been fixated on this case, one of Kenya's most followed terror cases that has taken 9 months to determine in the court of law.
While in prison, the accused person will be able to study and perhaps change his mind about the route he has taken. For that reason, I shall sentence the accused person to 20 years in prison.
Close kin and friends packed the court, many holding their breath as the judgment was read, a judgment that some observers reckon is one that will lay precedents for terror cases still pending in court.
This accused person has already sold his soul to the devil, and he was in the process of selling the souls of other children.
He was convicted of promoting radical extremism among children in contravention of Prevention of Terrorism Act 2012.
All these things did not happen simultaneously. The first incident involved pupils who profess the Islamic faith taunting and jeering their Christian schoolmates makafiri.
Asked who is Samuel Wanjala Wabwire, natively hails from Western Kenya. A few years ago, Wabwire took the name Salim Muhammad when he converted to Islam, rising ranks to become an imam at the Masjid Liwatoni in Kilifi. However, severally in court proceedings, he will deny prosecution claims that he was expelled from Maseno for stabbing a student, and instead alleged that he was suspended from the college in 2011 for being implicated in student unrest.
One can clearly see that the accused person cleverly used the Islamic religion and the martial arts training as a conveyor belt to radicalize the children.
After school screeched to a halt, Wabwire will change base and move to Kilifi, where he is said to have taken up a new role as a teacher at a local primary school, Kalolines Gotani Primary, teaching Islamic religious education. It is here that he is said to have surprised even close friends, exhibiting weird characters, taking radical tendencies, and this will prepare his new call, that of recruiting young children into the militant group Al-Shabaab.
I believe the children told the court the truth, because each child's evidence was unique and distinct.
Time and again in court proceedings, Wabwire claimed some conspirators wanted him ousted from the institution, reason why he was labeled a criminal. His pleas for pardon went west, despite telling the court that he was a father of one and his child needed his presence.
Even though he says he's a parent to a 1-year-old, the accused person is not only a danger to that child but to himself as well.
Wabwire's sentence could be the first conviction of a religious-based hate crime in Kenya's judicial history, coming at a time when a protracted search for terror suspects said to have escaped the Boni Forest KDF cleanup was ongoing. Francis Ontomwa, KTN News, Mombasa.
Monumental ruling. A 32-year-old woman is fighting for her life at the Kenyatta National Referral Hospital after her husband stabbed her several times. Doctors are currently trying to find a way to remove a big knife driven through her mouth and protruding through both her cheeks. Fatma Ibrahim, a mother of 3, said to have been attacked by her husband during a domestic quarrel at a village in Wajir East, Wajir County. The victim was previously stranded at Wajir County Referral Hospital. She could not be airlifted on a commercial flight due to lack of identification documents. It took the intervention of Wagberi Chief Hassan Abdi Sheikh to write a letter introducing her as a Kenyan from the county of Wajir before she was airlifted aboard an Amr flying doctor's plane. The husband has been arrested. Detectives from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission this morning raided the Karen home of Nairobi County Chief of Staff George Wainaina, who was last evening arrested over claims he bribed Nairobi Senator Mike Sonko. Arrested alongside Wainaina was his secretary Roslyn Oluoch. EACC Deputy CEO Michael Mubea alleged the bribe was meant to be an inducement to Sonko to have a suit he filed over Loresho plot owned by Nairobi Water and Sewerage Company dropped. Wainaina was later this evening released on a 200,000 shillings cash bail and he is set to appear in court tomorrow. To matters politics now, and Kenyan Deputy President William Ruto today said there are no plans by the ruling Jubilee coalition to rig the next general election. Speaking on the same day that the opposition demanded clarification from Jubilee on claims by one of their members that they would win the next election at whatever costs, Ruto insisted the claims of rigging were mere propaganda by the opposition. Ruto spoke as he met leaders from Kisii and Nyamira counties at his Sugoi home in the county of Uasin Gishu in a bid to sell the Jubilee alliance. He said those preaching violence, whether in Jubilee or in the opposition, should be subjected to the due process of the law. The meeting comes a few weeks after the DP met leaders from Rift Valley and Western Kenya region.
Wacha tuende tuunde ingine ambayo hakuna mtu atasema nimetoka hapa nimeitwa niende pale. Kujeni tuunde hii pamoja. Ndio mimi nauliza nyinyi watu wa Kisii, tafadhali kujeni tuunde Jubilee pamoja.
Wewe tutunze huko Kisii ndugu yangu. Sisi tutaingia Jubilee na tutatengeneza Jubilee. Tunataka kuwa kwa serikali, si ndio? Mtatoka serikali ime. Basi umesikia mkubwa wetu. Mambo yamebadilika. Wewe ukiona mtu anaanza kulia, sijui Deputy President ameenda kwa Waluya, yuko Malindi, sasa anasema hii watu wanasonga, leo ni Kisii na Nyamira, don't blame him. Imeanza kufinya. This is very good for us.
To our top story now, and to a report that will no doubt shake the Kenyan nation to the core and trigger a total reorganization in the way broadcasters plan their content. New rules released by the Communications Authority say no explicit sex discussions or vulgar debates will be allowed on Kenyan TV and radio stations between 5 a.m. and 11 p.m. and a new code of conduct for all free-to-air TV and radio stations in Kenya. The CA has also banned alcohol and cigarette-related advertisements over the same period of time. As KTN's Moremi Mwangu now reports, not all Kenyans are amused by these directives, particularly the scrapping of the breakfast show's sex debates.
That sex sells is an open secret, and milking every drop of this juicy topic has been the most generous offer for most FM radio stations, capitalizing on the insatiable thirst of their audience for more, some more, and even more sex talk.
Bukusu darling, Sarika Patel calls it quits.
And what better way to demand for the listener's ear and to constantly keep them on the edge of their seats, even in matatus, than to just give them the heated and heart-throbbing sex-related debates on the breakfast shows. But now, you may never hear the sex and relationship-related debates on your way to work again, after the Communication Authority of Kenya released a new code of conduct for all free-to-air radio and TV stations, restricting such content to between 11 p.m. and 5 in the morning, a directive which all media houses are supposed to adhere to in the next 6 months.
We have children who are on TV even up to very late. Sometimes we leave them, we go to sleep, we leave them still watching TV. Now if you start discussing such things that they are there, actually what are you saying? These are children.
In the mornings, children are rather in schools, so them that are watching are just maybe parents and those that are at work. Yeah, so it won't ruin the children.
I would really appreciate if it was to be scrapped off, because whatever you listen to is what comes to your life.
Under the new rules, the Communication Authority says the explicit depiction of sexual art in any program, including music or any sexual perversion, depictions of nudity and pornography stand banned between 5 a.m. and 11 p.m., a period known in broadcast language as the watershed period. But, well, that has not gone down well with many people, particularly the youth.
Talks hazikuwagi like extremely explicit, so hata watoto wakisikiliza, because I'm so sure watoto wanakuwaga shule hizo matime, so wasikiliza radio at that time.
It should not be there. Any human being, even if you are not taught about sex over the radio, within the time frame within the body, it will trick on, and it will already be on, and you will know it.
The Communication Authority further says that call-ins and discussion sessions on issues of adults only will not be allowed during the watershed period, adding that radio and TV stations should only discuss issues that advance public interest in accordance with the generally accepted standards of decency, such as respect of ethnic, cultural, economic and religious diversities in the country.
Kama tunaweza kutoa vipindi kuhusu Mungu, kuhusu michezo, sasa kimaisha ama kijamii, hata kimaisha yao, huenda ikawa ikiwasaidia popote watakapokuwa.
And even though most media outlets are private entities that survive on profits and through advertisements, the Communication Authority now says that advertisements of products such as alcohol and cigarettes shall not be allowed during the watershed period, and that no advertisements should be aired during live screening of national holidays, parliament proceedings and State of the Nation address.
That one I tend to disagree, because personally I've listened to such kind of advertisements, and then they say categorically at the end of it that alcohol should not be sold to somebody under 18 years, and I think the children have got the capacity to read, those who can read.
Pombe ikionekana sana, you will start getting influenced, you're curious, you want to know what is this, I want to taste it, and that is what I think it will be good to just avoid.
Maybe it's a Tusker or something, and you show taking Tusker is not bad after work and for adults. I would not say that. But now when you're showing people who are in orgy mood and they are dancing naked and they are wild, then that one is, so long as it's affecting the morality of the moral society, then it is wrong.
They say sex sells, but the next 6 months might be the toughest for the local media, as the Communication Authority enforces the new law that has now scrapped off sex discussions during the watershed period. But what content is going to fill up that space in the local media? Muremi Mwangi, KTN News, Nairobi.
The Big Q, in association with DSTV. Get a DSTV HD fully installed decoder for only 5,550 shillings.
Big changes there, a story that is certainly set to elicit a big debate. And let's start the debate right here on The Big Question, where we are asking you, do you support the ban on Sextalk during the day on Kenyan TV and radio stations? Tell us what you think. SMS your yes or no opinion and a brief comment to the number 22155. You can tweet as well at Ben_Kitili, at KTN News and at KTN Kenya. We shall be sampling those views and tweets during this live newscast.
Get the best this festive season. Buy a DSTV HD fully installed decoder for 5,500 shillings to enjoy the best quality family entertainment with various packages to suit your needs from as low as 1,050 shillings.
Now, we all know that mothers are very important people in our lives, and spending as much time with them as possible is vital. But can you imagine spending those precious moments with your mother within the confines of a prison? Well, KTN's Timothy Otieno has traced the steps of Lucy Wanjiku, who not only shares a special bond with her mother, but also shares the same cell at Kenya's largest women's prison.
Some standing outside the gate of the Lang'ata Women's Prison, where I'm about to meet 81-year-old Esther Wanjeri, who has been incarcerated in this institution for nearly 2 decades, a time which she has used to reflect upon her life in the efforts towards rehabilitation. But she has been incarcerated alongside someone very close to her heart. We find Esther Njeri, who prefers to be called Wanjeri, inside her cell watching her favorite show on KTN. She continues unperturbed by our presence until the warden informs her of a visit. She then quickly gets her glasses out, but not for us. And soon enough we see why. Aside from the KTN crew, Esther Wanjeri has another visitor, who finds her reading her favorite book, the Bible. 37-year-old Lucy sits close to the lady many here refer to as the woman of wisdom. You see, Lucy and Esther do not only share the same faith, they share the same blood. One mother, the other child. I interrupt their session to talk to the 81-year-old who has been locked up since 1998. She tells me a quarrel with her husband turned tragic after she hit him with a stool and he passed away. But she has since gotten salvation.
Tabu niokoke, sijai kukosana na jera, sijai kukosana na madam, sijai kukosana na mtu wowote.
Esther was sentenced to death for murder in the late 1990s, a ruling that was turned into a life sentence in 2009 through a parliamentary process by then President Mwai Kibaki, who abolished the death penalty.
Kama ninaona makosa inatendeka hapa, sitakuwa karibu na hapa. Sitakuwa karibu na hapa. Na ikiona hata matendo inatendeka bali, sitakuwa karibu.
Her daughter Lucy Wanjiko was also arrested with the same charge. Her mother had sent her to the shop on that fateful day, and when she came back, she found that a fight had ensued. Her mother's clothes bloody as her father lay on the floor of their home in Gilgil, lifeless. She was arrested and charged at 23 years old, a ruling she says has robbed her of her youth and a chance to raise her now 18-year-old daughter, who she last saw when was just 5 years.
Ningekaa na boma yangu, ningepata kama ni msee, Mungu anibariki na msee wangu. So naona sasa maisha imesonga, siwezi kupata msee sasa, maisha yangu imeishia jela. Maisha yangu imeishia jela. Sasa atasijui. Msichana wangu sasa ni mkubwa, sasa amemaliza form 4, ni mkubwa.
She now spends most of her time with her mother, who is wearing a blue attire. She is a trustee, meaning she's one of the most disciplined in the institution. Esther proudly shows us her exercise books. When she arrived here at the Lang'ata Women's Prison, she could barely write or speak any English or Swahili.
Ya kuwa mimi dini fwana nita kabo ya funua.
But now she can, at least to read her Bible, although not fluent, but nonetheless she reads on.
I can say their discipline has been well, but you know, at first, before you adjust to the sentence, you have to undergo the psychological counseling first for you to accept and settle down to the prison.
Lucy says being locked up with her mother has never been easy.
Vile unaona naamka kuna stress, nataka kuongea, mpaka hata leo nashikwa na stress. Kwa jela peke yako ni kitu ya maana. Njoo utajicontrol. Sasa mama yangu saa nyingine naamka na mkuta, ananiambia mimi nasikia stress, naona nimeseeka, naona kama nitakufia jela.
They both hope to one day leave this place to get back to their lives. And if they both can't, each one says they'd gladly nominate the other to be released at their own expense.
Sifurahi, ninaomba tukue ije. Nione ije hata mtoto agienda. Ni kwa sababu mtoto wangu kuwa anajua kitu.
A mother's love to her daughter and a daughter to her mother that even a prison sentence cannot keep locked up. Timothy Otieno, KTN News.
Inspiring story of Esther and her daughter Lucy despite their incarceration. To the top story tonight now, where a new laws ban explicit sex discussions or vulgar debates on Kenyan TV and radio stations between 5 a.m. and 11 p.m. On a big question tonight, we're asking, do you support that ban on sex talk during the day on Kenyan TV and radio stations? Very quickly, your views. Mercy Amo on Twitter says banning sex talks on radio and TV for some period does not prevent kids from going to the cyber and watching porn there. Golden Sky says, yes, I support 100%. Our societal morals have been degraded by these talks. It serves appropriate content. And Cedric says, it's just jumping from the frying pan to the fire. Most children are actively watching TV after 10 p.m. Keep the tweets and SMSs coming. You're watching KTN Prime. Thank you for staying with us. After the quick break, Daring Abroad. Stay with us.
Maybe a viewer thinks in the TV.
Welcome back. Shed some more light on why the school heads insist on introducing more levies.
It's reporting week for students in most schools. Here at Sugoi Girls High School, Uasin Gishu County, the girls stay put in the classroom, concentrating. They have term opener exams. At the principal's office, Madame Bor says the exams are important. She's been a teacher for a while before her promotion to principal, seeing what works at the several schools where she has served, including Moi Girls High School in Eldoret. So we sit. As I listen, she explains how she runs Sugoi Girls and understands better the current debate of the school fees disparity in schools.
In the normal running of a school, definitely we have to do a budget, and a budget is supposed to start from the grassroots. The teachers have their needs, or every department has its needs. From textbooks, of course we require a lot of things, but is it allowed? Can the fees that has been provided by the government, the guidelines to charge a certain amount, can it accommodate all these? Now you agree.
A parents' annual general meeting is important in any school. Sugoi Girls has 340 students whose parents have to agree on charges in the fees structure. The maximum fees for county schools like Sugoi is 53,554. Sugoi charging slightly below the ceiling set by the government, with a payment ratio that spreads across the 3 terms.
If there is an increment, that's where we tell the parents. If the parents want to maintain, you say, are you for it? Yes. Now, come next year, fees has increased because of A, B, C, D. We look at maybe the textbooks that we require, or we want to go, some schools will say, we want to use whiteboards instead of blackboards. We tell the parents, this is where we are going.
The rating of schools may be a contributor to the difference in the fee structure. Bor says with the government standard of one teacher having 27 lessons in a week and the need to improve the diet offered in the school, including motivation activities to improve the performance, contributes to the additional charges.
Of course, these increments will vary from school to school. But at the end of it, I think it should not also deny a child to get access to education.
In some instances, there might be a need to set up a new infrastructure or improve on the existing one that parents need to contribute toward. In the end, I'm told everything is done to ensure the best of performance, but most significant as a principal being in agreement with the parents.
Part of what causes the differences in the school fees is what's on your child's plate when they're in school. So if the students want, say, pork or fish fillet in their plates, then it means you as a parent, you have to dig deeper into your pockets. Mnaenjoy githeri? Masika ndiye KTN News at Sugoi Girls High School in Sugoi, Uasin Gishu County.
Thanks, Mercy. Mercy, and you're enjoying some githeri. Now, time for your favorite segment, Daring Abroad, and I have the Daring Abroad inside man himself, Alex Samada, in studio with me. Alex, what do you have for us today?
Now, tonight I'm not the one with the story, but it is Francis Mutalaki who is sitting in for me. Right. He's been daring abroad too. He's been in Somalia with the cameraman Martin Kio. They met this Kenyan who's been managing Jazeera Palace Hotel. His name is Justus Kisaulu. Right. The hotel has been attacked 3 times, but the man is there resilient. So Mutalaki met him to just understand what makes him remain in Somalia. The last attack was in July. Half of the hotel was brought down, but it was reopened recently. Right. So Mutalaki has that story, and let's have a look.
Mention of the name Somalia and specifically Mogadishu evokes painful memories of violence, suicide bombings and other acts of terror in the minds of many Kenyans. But there are those who are daring enough to work here.
Oh, the customers are okay? There are some bottles there, take the bottles.
Meet Justus Kisaulu, the general manager of Jazeera Palace, a hotel that has been bombed thrice, but that has not deterred Justus from making a contribution to rebuilding the nation.
Nobody can be used to explosions, and even a gunshot is enough to scare a Kenyan. You know, these things are very hard and rare to hear in Nairobi, but this, for me, it was a calling.
But how did Justus find his way to Mogadishu, Somalia?
This one started with a visit to a friend, the owner of the business, who I met in Nairobi. He just told me he had a project, and he requested me to recruit for him specific professionals to come and help him manage the hotel. So I came for a visit. I checked the property. I checked Mogadishu. Yes, there was a lot of challenges, but I made a decision to manage the hotel.
It was a tough decision, he says.
To get a qualified staff to run the operations, it was very, very hard. Number 2, there was no clean water in Mogadishu. There was no national grid to provide electricity. There was no sewer lines running the city of Mogadishu.
Compared to Kenya, one will ask, how is life here at Mogadishu?
Here, you are not only a manager, but you have to keep on checking the early warnings of an attack, all threats which are facing the hotel, and working on them. Otherwise, if you don't do something, you'll soon be a statistics. Life can be hard here, but taking the necessary precautions, go to the right places, being led by the right people, you can stay safe in Mogadishu. For ordinary Somalis, life is normal. Life is normal as in they can go to the market, they can go their home, they can report to work. Life is okay. But for high profiles and also for leaders like me, you have to take caution.
Jazeera Palace is one of the top posh hotels in Mogadishu.
The guests we host in the hotel, they are high profile. They are either ambassadors, government dignitaries, or dignitaries visiting from other countries, businessmen, and all these people, they have one thing in common. They are here to change the life, the economic life, social life of the Somali people. So this one doesn't go in well with the enemies of peace.
The hotel has employed 5 Kenyans, mostly departmental heads.
What motivates me, to be honest with you, is not the money. Is how this hotel has changed the Somalis in their social and economic life, and also how it has been impacted in the society.
Justus says he has seen Mogadishu grown to what it is today, from banks that the Somali community are now embracing to construction on new buildings, beaches that were no-go zones in the past are now busy.
Barabara ziko na street lights. Ukiangalia hii barabara iko hapa nje ya hoteli, imewekwa lami mzuri, ni smooth, hakuna mashimo. Ukiangalia stima iko mzuri siku hizi. Ukiangalia shule zimejengwa, wakati huo shule za serikali hazikuweko.
The parting shot from Justice is that everyone has a Mogadishu in their lives, so to speak. The question is, how do you make the best out of it without giving up?
We believe the poison that doesn't kill you will always leave you stronger. Jazeera is more stronger, it's more vibrant, it's ready for high-profile business, it's ready to provide a secure environment, it's ready to provide excellent services, it's ready to keep Somalia and Mogadishu as a city in the global hospitality map.
From Sentilaki, KTN News for Daring Abroad.
Great story by Francis and Martin. Powerful interview there. And Alex, you've done many of these stories about great Kenyans daring abroad. What do they seek to bring back to the country?
First of all, of course, the experience, the technology transfer, skills transfer. Someone like Justice, if he comes back to Kenya, you can imagine how much experience, skills he brings back. He can work anywhere in Kenya. Remittances, they are investing back home. Inspiration, many Kenyans watch this, they feel great that Kenyans are great, they can work anywhere in the world. But it's not easy. If you had Maxwell, the athlete in Paris, he said, I mean, they are not plucking money from the tree. Some of them work so hard for jobs sometimes in a day. The fact is that, I mean, you can excel anywhere. You could be in Kenya but still excel, but maybe someone got opportunity elsewhere. You don't leave your job here to say, I want to go to Paris today.
Where are we daring abroad next?
Let me not reveal much, but Africa, Europe, and even Asia.
Thanks,
Watch
Alex.
my steps.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
Daring abroad. We take a short break now on KTN Prime, but it is the month of January, infamously referred to as January for obvious reasons. After the break on KTN Business, we shall be taking a look at an outlook of fuel prices in the month of January. Stay with us.
Well, good evening and welcome to KTN Business on the 7th day of January. My name is Abi Agina. We start with an outlook of fuel prices. Well, consumers could be looking at fairly low increments in the cost of fuel for the month of January. According to the Energy Regulatory Commission Director General Joseph Nganga, market fundamentals have held steady, with the shilling remaining stable, trading at 102 to the US dollar, as well as continued slump in global oil prices, with the barrel now retailing at under $40. Here's more on that report.
As the month of January fast settles in, consumers will be on the lookout for rising commodity prices. This comes as December inflation shot to 8%, further driving up the cost of living. Fuel prices, a major factor hinged on determining the cost of living, has also been range-bound, a trend the energy regulator says could hold.
The shilling has been stable at around 102 shillings to the dollar, and internationally the oil business is conducted in US dollars. So when that is stable, then of course generally the price will be stable. And equally the cost of petroleum products in the international market has stabilized. Currently about 37 US dollars to the barrel. So generally we should expect no surprises in terms of the pricing for next week.
Despite the revised excise tax levied on diesel in December last year, ERC Director General notes that this will not have a significant impact in the cost of the commodity. With global oil prices on the decline, this has helped bring down the cost of petroleum products in the domestic market. Pump prices for December experienced marginal drops, with super petrol declining by 40 cents to 90 shillings and 6 cents, while kerosene decreased by a shilling and 54 cents to 53 shillings and 27 cents in Nairobi. Diesel prices fell by a shilling and 15 cents, now retailing at 78 shillings and 51 cents per litre in Nairobi. ERC, however, has fears of massive dumping by leading oil producers in the world, noting that oil-producing nations had an oversupply, which could hurt net importing countries like Kenya.
When you look at the economic development of China, predictions are that it's not going to be growing as fast as it should. That reduces demand for oil. There is the issue of Iran, that it has excess oil and it will be dumping it to the market going forward. Yes, that may be possible, but recent developments are changing that. We do not know what the geopolitics will play around with what has been cooking over the last 3 days or so between Saudi Arabia and Iran and other Gulf countries. So I think petroleum prices could still remain positive in terms of the current trend.
The ERC, in line with its mandate, will in a few days be making known pump prices for the month of January, with consumers waiting with bated breath as the January blues surge on. Indeed, of course, consumers expecting to see that the prices will continue to hold. Moving on, counties will soon enjoy smooth e-procurement and payment platform operations. This is due to a joint task force formed by the National Treasury and the Council of Governors in a bid to fast-track e-procurement in the 47 counties. The team is made up of 3 officials from Treasury and 3 officials from the Council of Governors and is expected to look into challenges faced by counties when it comes to implementing the e-procurement and payment platform. The report will be able to give concrete recommendations on the way forward by end of January to the Treasury and the Council of Governors. The implementation of the recommendations will then kick off in February, giving way to more efficient use of e-procurement starting March this year. The task force team was formed at a forum convened by Treasury to address concerns raised by the governors on the use of integrated financial management information systems, IFMIS, e-procurement by the counties. During the forum, the Council of Governors cited lack of proper infrastructure and capacity challenges as hindering implementation of e-procurement. Besides this, the 2 entities also deliberated on other measures necessary to ensure a full rollout of the systems in the counties. And now to some technology news. Mobile phone subscribers with several SIM cards could soon be put under scrutiny as the government moves to crack down on illegal communication providers. The Communications Authority says there is an upsurge of illegal connections that circumvent legal communication channels and deny the government of millions in taxes. The main concern for the regulator is calls made via the internet, as well as users setting up SIM boxes to provide international calls. The authority says the illegal communication providers are a security risk because they are unregulated and often hard to trace, providing an avenue for criminal activity. In only the last week, the regulator, working with the police, had recovered 4 SIM box equipment with a combined capacity to hold about 144 SIM cards and over 5,000 SIM cards. This is the second time in as many months that the regulator has apprehended illegal communication service providers. Last year, a similar communication bureau operating at Nairobi's 680 Hotel was unearthed with the CA stating that perpetrators were making as much as 38 million shillings a month in revenue. Mobile service providers have also been asked to monitor abnormal SIM card activity or individuals who register an abnormal number of SIM cards. Well, now we're to cross over to get what's been happening on the financial markets front. The shilling still not fully back to where it was. It's trading at about 102, but here's more on the financial news. Well, and that's all the time we had for here on KTN Business. Many thanks for watching. My name is Abi Agina. Let's do this tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a good night.
Welcome to KTN Sports. 2015 Kenyan Premier League Midfielder of the Year Eric Johana set his sights on improving his performances that saw him named among the best players in the KPL in 2015. Mathare United youngster also revealed his admiration to play in Europe, and as Robinson Okenya reports, Johana will be seeking to prove his critics wrong in 2016.
Mathare United Eric Johana.
Eric Jonah was named the 2015 Kenya Premier League Midfielder of the Year, capping off a stellar year that was 2015. The 21-year-old Mathare United midfielder shook off stiff competition from more experienced Premier League players. The 2014-2015 calendar year was just his second season in top-flight football, and his recognition is not a mean achievement.
Ni feeling moja awesome sana juu ukiangalia 21 years midfielder of the year, second year in Premier League, kuna watu wamekuwa hapo wamekuwa kiwaki lakini wajifikia stage kama hiyo. So ni big plus, ni a big plus kwangu na kwa efforts zangu zile nimekuwa nikiweka na kwa teammates wangu wale kwa kunisupport.
Johan also feels his hard work paid off after getting a call to the national team Harambee Stars, a position he had targeted since joining top flyer football.
Dream lazima yani uamke tu uende utrain, ucheze game ndio ufike pia kwa national team. So hii award kuja ilikuwa ni plus. Juu target yangu ilikuwa national team.
Omondi steps forward against the goalkeeper. Despite losing a penalty in the Sekafa Senior Challenge Cup against Rwanda on national duty, the youngster is optimistic of making an improvement this season for both club and country to prove the critics wrong while targeting to play in Europe in the future.
Critics lazima wakue. Kila mtu criticize hiyo. Mimi nataka kuwork. Hii mwaka nataka kuonyesha. Hii mwaka ni mwaka different, positive. Nataka kuanza tu fresh pale nilianzia third year in Kenya. Hiyo ni dream ya kila mtu. Kila mtu anataka kwenda Europe. Na najua lazima siku moja kila mtu upate opportunity yake, hata kama ni East Africa, hata kama ni wapi, utapata chance yako kwenda mahali kutry. Patience too.
His teammates also feel he's a player who has a bright future in the country.
A person who anapenda kufight, kugain ama kuget results.
Mimi Eric alikuwa na deserve because ukiangalia last year alikuwa na work hard sana. Ungepatana kama mapema anafanya vitu zake. So naona yani ili kupatia award nikaa alikuwa deserve.
For now, the former Laser Hill Academy midfielder is focusing on helping other youngsters prosper in the game as he prepares for the coming season. Robinson Okenye, KTN Sports.
Johanna seeking to follow in the footsteps of Southampton midfielder Victor Wanyama. Kenya dominated this year's Bananda Sports Festivals held at Lumino Primary School in Busia County to retain titles in all the disciplines. The annual event that celebrated its 104th anniversary brings together members of the Samia community from Kenya and Uganda in a bid to promote cultural integration. In the main football match, Kenya beat Uganda a goal to nil. Yusuf Sikujua Makakari scored the all-important goal on the 68th minute in a closely contested match to send the Kenyan delegation that included Funyula Member of Parliament Paul Otoma into ecstatic celebrations. The win helped Kenya retain the trophy which they won last year in Funyula. In the women's football match, hosts Uganda were overwhelmed by their superior rivals, falling by 2 goals to nil. Kenya dominated the match, leaving their Ugandan counterparts chasing shadows. Now, in Ajua, Kenya again thrashed Uganda 20 goals to 14, another entertaining game that involved both the elderly and the youth. In athletics, the former head of the Russian athletics Valentin Blakshinev and the country's former head of coach Alexei Melnikov and Papa Masata Diak, the son of former IAAF President Lamin Diak, have all been banned from the sport for life over corruption. The IAAF Ethics Commission made the announcement on Thursday, also banning the organization's former doping chief Gabriel Dole for 5 years. After all, 4 men were found to have committed multiple breaches of anti-doping rules and being involved in the attempted cover-up of positive drugs tests. Most of the charges involved Russian former London Marathon winner Lilia Shobukova, who paid $600,000 to have positive dope tests covered up. She provided evidence to WADA last year that led to Russia being suspended from athletics. The bans follow from the World Anti-Doping Agency WADA report that found indications to of a state-sponsored culture of doping in Russian athletics.
Shillings.
So tonight we reported of a report, new rules released by the Communications Authority of Kenya saying no explicit sex discussions or vulgar debates will be allowed on Kenyan TV or radio stations from 5 a.m. and 11 p.m. On the big question we are asking you, do you support that ban on Sextalk during the day on Kenyan TV and radio stations? Very quickly to some of your views, and Okoti Alwora on Twitter says the person saying Paul Mwani says our times when you nothing concerning sex at the age of 16 years, but nowadays children understand it even at a younger age. And Kelly Roberts on Twitter says if adverts are this, that's someone's job at risk. If not, then there hakuna creativity among the people. That is Kelly Roberts' view. And one here from Silas Aluku says, it's overdue. Unscrupulous FM stations have corrupted the airwaves with sex obsessions. Janet Kihara says on Twitter, yes, my 2-year-old nephew is so keen on adverts. I'm so afraid he may ask auntie always nini. That is from Janet Kihara. And another one here from Kim Abuno says, for any rational being should understand all institutions cannot share the same structures due to their differences. John Mashari on Twitter says, actually the ban should be between 6 a.m. and midnight. And Kenyan Papi on Twitter says, no, the move is counterproductive. It will have a Streisand effect, forcing more kids to Google for sexual content. Finally, here one from Mary Muluka says, absolutely yes. Some of the things said are so embarrassing, especially when in a public vehicle. Many views on our big question discussion tonight. Many thanks for participating.
From the rest, get the best. This festive season, buy a DSTV HD fully installed decoder for 5,500 shillings to enjoy the best quality family entertainment with various packages to suit your needs from as low as 1,050 shillings.
And that's where we leave it on your most qualified news bulletin in town, KTN Prime. Many thanks for joining us. I'm Ben Kitili. Good night from the KTN News Center.